Okay, so after a successful first night of hammock camping, we have great aspirations for the next 2 nights. Alright, so I just want to show some things about the setup of the hammock. So, first of all, is the way I hang the hammock, and that is I used like the double, it's not really a D-ring, but they're 2 rings. Now a lot of people like to use what they call wrap rings for rappelling. I went on the cheap and I bought these rings from Walmart, and they definitely don't have the weight capacity of a wrap ring at all. I think the weight capacity for each one of these rings is 200 pounds. Now that's, you got to consider the fact that the angle at which you hang can multiply the weight. At about a 30-degree angle from the tree, the weight on these tethers, what I call them, is going to be about equal to, on each side is going to be about equal to the weight in the hammock. The more horizontal you go, the higher the weight's going to multiply, and the more vertical you go, the less each weight, each side will be hanging. If you had it perfectly vertical, each side would be hanging half of the weight that's in the hammock. But I use these D-rings or rings, like a D-ring belt or strap, so I can tighten up the straps. I'm not going to show how I actually do that right now, but basically they feed through, and I can adjust the hang very easily. And then once I have the adjustment right, I just do a little marlin spike hitch right here, just to hold it from slipping, so it just holds onto itself there. You can see this is just a strap that goes around the tree, and the straps are very strong. I got them off of a ratchet strap set. Another one that kind of scavenged. Instead of having to buy specific straps for this, I just bought a ratchet strap set, and it was like 12 bucks for 4 of them, and I got 2 of them in my set here. So that's how I actually use it. Now this is what the hammock that I bought. It's an Eno hammock that it came with these kind of carabiner type clips, and then I added these so I could put the D-rings on there, because I need a lark's head around the D-rings to keep this side together, while this side acts as a cinching point. So that is the hang on both sides. And then also you can see I got the line across it, a ridge line, so that I can maintain a specific amount of droop in the hammock. If I don't have that, then the different weights and the different weight distribution in the hammock is going to change the droop, and it won't allow me to maintain a comfortable hang. And if I'm diagonal, it'll be almost if I'm sleeping diagonal in the hammock, it'll be almost flat. But if I don't have this ridge line here, it's going to change all over the place as I change my position, and if the weight was different. So I use this to maintain the droop. And then of course I have my netting, which there's a whole video on YouTube, my Hammock 3 video, you can check that out. That's got the description of how I set up this mosquito netting. Very cheap, very easy to set up. Now obviously I have my tarp here in case of rain. So the tarp, I opened it up a little more towards this side and put it down towards that side, just because that's the road for the campsite, and it's just a little bit more private that way. I have this side down a little closer than I'd like to the hammock. I'd like to actually guide out farther that way, so it raises it up a little bit, but it's kind of in the walkway, so it works fine. There's enough airflow going through it. It don't trap a lot of moisture that way. And then now I want to show you the way I attach it. I just put another ridge line above this, some paracord, wrapped it around. But the way I tied this on, because I was doing it not centered, now there's a grommet on the center of the tarp, and I could have just grommeted the tarp in the center, but because there's no grommet in the center, in the spot where I'm actually folding it over, about 1/3, 2/3, what I did was I used a little button rock technique, where I put a rock inside the tarp and then wrap it around, tie around a piece of string, so you get like a little button there. And then what I've taken here is a what you call a Rustic Knot. I wrapped it around that button rock, and then the Rustic Knot goes around here, and it actually acts as a tensioning knot. So when I pull it this way, it doesn't slip. But if I pull the knot this way, it'll slide very easily. So I push the knot up this way, and allows me to tension my tarp from end to end. Now, I will say this, I'm using like a cheap cordage that I bought at like the dollar store on a piece of 550 paracord. Doesn't have the tension against itself like I would like, because they're two different types of cordage. So you can see I have the other one, same over here. Just as an illustration, if you've never seen the way a Rustic Knot works, I'll take this one off and I'll try to show you how this works here. So what I have is just like a lark's head right around here. My button rock is being held in by another piece. I have a lark's head. You just loop a piece of rope in on itself. Sorry, I'm gonna have to do this with one hand. Basically, you just fold it in on itself like this, and so you get a cinching loop like that, and put that around the button rock, tighten it down. Sorry, doing this with one hand is not easy. Give me 1 second. Okay, we're back. So I just put a bigger button rock here so that it's easier to get around this loop, and I'm going to show you in a second. But the Rustic, we'll start out the Rustic first. I'm going to take this down. Alright, so the Rustic, basically, here I go again. It's like a lark's head would go where you just take the loop through and you do it like that, and you'd have a lark's head like that. Okay, that'd be a lark's head. There's other names for it too. Okay, so you come around one time through the loop, come around another time through the loop, and that is the Rustic. Alright, okay, then you want to make sure that's nice and tight so that when you pull on the string, you don't get a lot of tension. I told you this is going to slip a lot more than if I had 550 on 550. This is like usually to have, but it will, if you see now, I can pull on that and it won't move, but if I just take the knot, it'll move very easily. And so that's the idea, what we want to do with tensioning our tarp, and that is we'll make a little lark's head here. So I got my lark's head here, and we'll slide our knot down, and I just lost my lark's head again. Okay, so lark's head, and we're going to put that around our button rock. Sorry. Tighten it up on our button rock, and then we're going to slide our knot down until we get a nice tension. And tension that up, and then you can see I got a nice tension there, and then I'll just tie my line back on, my guy line back on. Boom. And my tarp is tensioned nice and tight for the most part. It's not the perfect setup, but it does work. Like I said, I would be preferring, I ran out of paracord, so I didn't have anything to tension over here. Now, last but not least, there is a little bit of rain forecasted, and the problem with rain is that when it rains, the water comes down on the lines, soaks up into the lines, and starts, of course, by gravity running down, and then you get, now this probably wouldn't be a problem, and in fact the setup I got isn't going to be too much of an issue, I don't think. Having these rings here will also solve a little bit of my problem, but one of the things you got to worry about is that the water running down the lines causes water to get up into the hammock underneath the tarp. I don't think this right here will give me a problem because it'll run onto the tarp and then off the tarp. But this may give me a problem. The water will come down the tree, run down the straps, run down here, soak down the straps. The rings will cause a little bit of a stoppage, but it still could run around here. So one of the things that you do is you add a little tail here. Now I think I forgot what it is, but there's a specific word for this when it comes to the hammock guys, and maybe somebody can tell me what that is. I'll have to look again. But what I do is, if you just tie a string here, I just tied a lark's head right there, and you just let a tail hang right there. What that will do is the water will run here, and by gravity will want to take the quickest route to ground, and it will instead of going down this way, will tend to go down this way, and it will drip the water off right here. So what I'll do is I'll leave a little tail right there like that, and I'll put one on the other side as well, so that if we do have water, rain, I will be able to keep water hopefully from coming into the hammock onto the tarp. And so that is the setup. So that is the setup. That is the hang with the D-rings, ridge line, mosquito netting with the leakage preventer there for the water runoff, water tail there. There's a name for it, I can't remember what it is. And with the rain fly guide out into four corners, and tensioned with the Rustic Knots on the button rocks to my top ridge line. That is the entire setup. And I have yet to camp in the rain. I'm not wanting rain, but I'm kind of almost hoping it does rain the last night, just to see how this works in the rain, to see if I get wet or not. Obviously this would not be ideal for a really bad rainstorm. I don't have a lot of coverage. This is only an 8-foot tarp. Typically I'd want something wider, a square tarp that was I could do it as a diagonal instead of rectangular like I'm doing here would be much better. But this is an 8-foot tarp. I just have the 8-foot length, so it's just barely covering my hammock hang right here. So yeah, so would really like to get past like over here. Anyways, that is the deal, and that is the hammock setup for this 3-night hammock attempt. So we'll see how it goes tonight. Looking forward to another good night of rest like I had before, and appreciate you guys for watching, and hope you learned something from this hammock setup video. Talk to you guys all later. Agent 1611 out.